You should be good to go.
Very good. Thank you, Eric. Welcome, everybody, to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for August 25th, 2021. If I could have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the roll call. Noreen, if you could do the roll call for me, I'd appreciate it.
Chairman Payne,
Here,
Commissioner Claffey,
Here.
Commissioner Fox,
Here.
Commissioner Havens,
Here.
Commissioner Linares,
Here.
Commissioner Sobieski,
Yeah.
Commissioner Woods,
Here.
Commissioner Braverman, Commissioner Gill,
Here.
Commissioner Haggerty.
Here.
All set.
okay, thank you very much, Noreen.
You're welcome.
All right, next thing on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. I don't believe there's any changes that the Eric would like to make. I could be wrong, Eric.
No changes that I'm aware of.
Okay, very good. All right, since there's no changes in the agenda, we'll go to public participation for items not listed on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Within the Zoom application, raise hand if you would like to participate during public participation. If calling into Zoom meeting by telephone, dial *9 to raise your hand to be recognized. Use *6 when recognized to speak by telephone. State your name and address for the record. Is there anyone in the public that would?
Mr. Chairman, can we approve the agenda before we get into public participation?
We just did. There was
Did
no
we?
change.
I don't remember taking a vote, not that it matters.
Yeah, I don't think we ever take a vote on it. We just consult the town planner. And if there's no changes, then we go from there. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak?
I don't see anyone with their hand raised.
Okay, we'll go to remarks by commissioners. If there's any remarks from commissioners. We have nothing under public hearing. There is no public hearing. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of August 11th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion.
Sobieski, make a
So
motion
moved.
to approve.
Fox.
Motion made by Commissioner Sobieski and seconded by Commissioner Fox. Any corrections at all? Or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously to approve the minutes of August 11th, 2021. Next thing on the agenda is new business. The petition 40-21, a site plan approval at 129 Willard Avenue. Applicant and owner, Gibbs Oil Company. Contact Kenneth R. Slater, Jr. Esquire. Is the applicant available?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hope you're not tired of seeing us, but we're very happy to be back here with what we hope to be the final part of the approval process for the improvement to the Phillips 66 station and a new Dunkin' restaurant. Happy to report Mr. DeFusco is here, the project engineer. He's received all of the comments from the town engineering staff as well as the planning staff, and he is able to comply with all of the comments, with the exception of 4, all of which might have come up during the previous public hearing. 2 of them definitely did. He will touch upon them, but the town engineering staff recommended a radius that can't be accomplished on the site. And they also made a recommendation that I know we talked about, and there was an explanation for, which is the way that the station, the trucks come in and do the filling of the tanks. The engineer's recommendation is not feasible on the site, and the project engineer will explain that in a minute. The other, with those two exceptions, which were discussed during the public hearing when the special permit was approved, there are two comments from the planning staff. There was a catch that under the ordinary rules that a loading zone would be required under section 6.1.2. But that provision applies when the square foot of the building is 5,000 feet or more. And this one is 4,000. So there doesn't have to be a specific loading zone under your regulations. Another pickup in the ordinary course was that there's screened dumpsters. They're screened, but they are located within a yard setback, which ordinarily wouldn't be allowed in your general regulations. But in the PD zone, provided the site plan is approved, a screened dumpster is permitted within a yard, and that's under 4.3.2.a. So we believe the site plan complies fully with the requirements of your regulations. The revised plans were submitted today. I don't know whether the engineering staff has been able to comment to confirm. I know there's been some back and forth between the project engineer and staff with some odds and ends that were asked during the course of the day. But obviously, if there were some outstanding issues that the engineering commission hasn't reviewed the final plan, we would be very happy to receive approval subject to final review and approval of engineering staff. And with that, and of course, we'll be able to entertain any questions. I would turn it over to Mr. DeFusco to in particular go over the points that were raised by the engineering staff with respect to the radius and the filling, and confirm, as I believe I just have confirmed, that with the exception of those 2 points, we've conformed the plans to address all of the comments that have been made to date.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just briefly, Mr. Slater's correct on the 2 items from the planning side about the loading zone, the dumpster. So we have no issues on the planning side. Engineering did not get a chance to complete the review today. So the proposed draft motions has conditions to take that into account if you choose to take action this evening.
Thank you.
And Mr. DeFusco, are you online?
Yes.
Rich, if you could just, obviously we can answer whatever questions the commission might have, but I think that the 2 points that require your overview is the questions raised by the engineering staff with respect to the radius and the filling, because I think the staff needs to get the direction from the commission to agree that those things can't be complied with, so that we can otherwise get satisfactory approval by the engineering staff.
So to take the first issue, the 25-foot radius on an entry drive would require that the radius becomes tangent at the curb, no point beyond the property, which means the driveway would have to be a minimum of 25 feet away from the property line. And this property is not very wide, so that would push the driveway so far over, it would be entering right into the dispensers. There just simply is not enough width in this property to accommodate that due to the existing condition of the lot. And as far as the tankers drop only on the passenger side of the truck. So in order to get the truck to line up with the tanks, which are on the drive-through entry side of the building, he has to enter from that northernmost driveway, stop at the tanks, and then loop around the back of the building to then exit out the southern driveway. Now, this does mean that it will have to cross some parking spaces, which is very common on these small gas stations. And most of the spaces it would have to cross are employee spaces already. And typically what happens is the truck driver calls ahead, says he's 20 minutes out or whatever, and they go out and they cone off the spaces just so that they're available for the truck to use when he has to sweep through and leave the site. The other comment was to try to get the truck in north driveway and out the south. And there's not enough turning radius because the swept path of a tanker is very large. And he needs to be able to get by that dispenser and get out onto the road. The only way that would work if the tanks were on the opposite side of the site, but then they'd be on the wrong side of the tanker. They would be on the driver's side, and they can't drag the hoses under the truck to then fill. That's just not procedure that they can do. So those are the reasons basically that addresses those two comments.
Okay, thank you. And our assistant town planner has acknowledged that the town's in agreement with you on those two items. Correct, Eric?
I was discussing the planning items. These are two engineering comments that were made.
Okay,
You guys
So-
did discuss
so-
the tanks and the offloading during the special permitting process. And I believe you asked them to look into putting it on the other side, and I believe they fulfilled that and looked into doing that, and they've discussed the reasoning as to why it doesn't really work for the flow on that site.
okay. So we have to wait to see what the town engineer thinks. Okay, thank you. Could you,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
sorry. We already know what the engineering staff thinks because that was a subject of comments before the special permit review. So we know they would prefer that. So those are two items that we'd like the commission to provide based on the information we've provided, some direction to the engineering department, because they're asks, not requirements, and they simply can't be complied with. So the engineering staff would like to see the tanks move to the other side, but for the reasons Mr. DeFusco just explained, it can't happen. So if it's possible for any motion to provide for engineering approval of the submissions, with the exception of the movement of the tanks, that would, I think, accomplish the two items that Rich has talked about. Because if the tanks stayed where they are, then the truck movement would be obvious on the site. So that's one thing, if possible, if you could give guidance to the commission that, or the engineering staff, that you're satisfied with the engineer's report.
Yeah.
Otherwise, perhaps after if they've listened to the tape or talked to Rich, they will revise their perspective that they think it's feasible to move those tanks from one side of the site to the other, despite the filling problems that Mr. DeFusco explained.
And if I also may, Mr. Chairman, the engineer and the applicant also moved the underground tanks enough to satisfy the fire marshal away from that residential property line to the north as well. So they did move them a little bit
okay,
to make that work.
all right. I'm just wondering whether or not we should, before we do a motion with conditions, whether or not we would be better serve you as an applicant to not vote on this until we hear from the town engineer, only so we can direct the engineer whether or not we understand that some things can't be completed, and we wouldn't want those things to be a burden on you. So I'm not sure whether or not it's critical that we have a motion tonight, or whether or not you'd be willing to wait 2 weeks so we can hear from the town engineer.
Mr. Chairman, we would defer to your judgment on that, and we
Okay.
certainly could await their comment.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Only so that we can best provide the necessary information to move this thing forward. Commissioner Fox, do you have a question?
No, I just want to say I have to agree with you, Mr. Chairman, rather than, as you said, rather than put conditions on it, which might be a little tough on the applicant. We should wait until all the information is in. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fox. Is there any other commissioners have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I do.
Yes, Commissioner Woods, go right ahead.
Can the applicant just tell me again, is when they deliver the gas in the tractor trailers, are they gonna enter the site in the southbound lane and then come around the back of the building and then park parallel with the property line. So, because again, if the access to the tanks from the tanker is on the passenger side, that's how it's going to have to be, or is there some way to turn the truck around within that lot?
There actually is there's a sheet in the set that shows the movement of the truck. If somebody, whoever shares their screen can go to the TD1 page,
TD1?
TD1, there it is. So the truck enters from the northern driveway, parks over the tanks and offloads onto the fields, which are just to the north of the truck, loops around and then exits the site. And he needs that swept path coming out of the southern driveway in order to not turn into oncoming traffic. So that's why that pattern needs to be the way it's shown.
Okay. The only issue that I could see with that is, doesn't that cut off access to the drive-through lane for that period for the Dunkin' Donuts?
But he's parked actually in the bypass lane. So the drive-through lane is still available. And the truck will be making the deliveries off hours. You wouldn't do it at peak times when most people are going to be trying to get their coffee to go to work or on the way home. It would be not in those rush hour times. So the conflict with the Dunkin' Donuts users should not be an issue.
And
So-
if I
just
may
one-
just quickly, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you guys did discuss this at the public hearing for the special permit. You guys discussed the offloading and just kind of what you're rehashing now.
Yes.
Okay. And I apologize, I wasn't at the last meeting. But again, I think any of us know Dunkin' Donuts, especially through the rush hour, people have one thing on their mind. So are you saying, will they close the dispensing on that northern island when that truck is there?
That will be up to the individual delivery. The trucker, he may want to cone that off just for additional safety, just at the time that he's parked there. They typically will cone off an area where the hoses are entering the fills so that they're less vulnerable to traffic.
Okay. I personally, I think you'd be better off coming in the south entrance and looping around and parking parallel with the property line or the edge of the parking lot and filling the tanks that way. But, well, I'm not totally opposed to this, but I think there is a conflict with the drive-through from what I'm seeing.
Well, okay. Thank you, Commissioner Woods.
Yep.
If I could, Mr. Chairman?
Certainly.
Just for the record, the representatives for the operator of the restaurant, who operates several of the Dunkin' restaurants, familiar with these plans and the operations, and for the benefit of any member who wasn't here for the special permit hearing, indicated that this method of filling and saving, having that open, and the practice of having these during off hours worked fine, and was similar to other sites that they've, sized sites that they've worked with. So for the record, I would just point that out for.
Okay. Well, let me just say that if Mr. Gagnon is fine with it, I'm fine with it. If he's condoned it, I'm fine with it.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman?
certainly, yes.
Yeah, Attorney Tim Fury, I represent the Dunkin' Donuts operator. That will be affiliated with this site. And we have two other locations with three other locations with the gas-oriented uses. One with Gibbs Oil in East Granby with a drive up. And in any of our locations, they coordinate very well to make sure that the fuel dispensing is not occurring during our peak hours. And even if the truck were there during our normal hours or not the peak hours, the cars will still be able to get through and around the building, but none of our vendors have ever scheduled during peak hours. So the fact that they can get the vehicle on the site and off the site, and not in this fashion, is one of the safer sites we've seen and been involved with designing, in our experience. What they have here is done very safely, will not interfere with our normal operations the way that's been handled in the past.
Well, thank you very much for explaining that out. I appreciate that. Commissioner Sobieski, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I agree with Commissioner Fox. I'd like to wait to get the engineering report just to cover all the bases. Secondly, my question was on the other parcel of property down here where it splits the R12 zone and the B zone. And I thought Attorney Slater was going to have that ironed out with the new revised set of plans. Considering both of these properties are owned by the same people now, or will be.
Okay, I'll ask the attorney if he wants to readdress that. We have addressed that in the past, but let's see if we can get another answer on it.
Well, from our perspective, the portion of the property where this use is proposed is zoned for this use. And I think Attorney Fury actually was on the line, and he actually made a clarification. I don't know, Tim, you had something during the special permit hearing on that point as well. But if he doesn't have anything to add, my position was the fact that there's a larger, this is only a portion of another parcel is not relevant to whether or not this complies with the standards of the site plan regulations, and that the site plan, as we show, is all zoned for this use, and we think qualifies for approval.
So the site adjacent to the south is currently owned by the proposed Duncan operator here. The Duncan that is there shortly after this gets approved will most likely be closed in anticipation of moving it over here with construction. And those of you who've seen the building, Mr. Naples totally renovated that property for the purpose of having ProHealth go in there with one of its more advanced pediatric multi-specialty groups. And they would be responsible to take over the rest of the building that would be renovated in a similar fashion. That property is zoned a little bit differently, but it is a merged property. It's not going to be, it can't be developed in a fashion utilizing the parking area for something different, because otherwise the whole building becomes non-compliant, and it's all a unified piece. I think we discussed at the special permit hearing that we may look at in the future of consolidating those zones, expanding this zone. Some of the neighbors are interested in participating, but we're not there yet. You remember from the zone change application, when you didn't do the properties across the street, there were more questions. And I think the commission, as a commission, wanted more opportunity to study a more advanced planning. Everybody agreed that this site needed to be, was long in the tooth and needed to be upgraded. Everybody agreed that the site to the south that Mr. Naples owns, they did a great job and helped starting to bring the standards of the area up, but the commission wasn't quite ready to make bigger decisions on the overall area. And I think the future zoning of our building to the south and some of the residential properties around it, I think we agreed would be a part of a bigger planning process that you might do going forward.
So the zone R12 and zone B12 has no legal effect on your piece because it's on the adjacent piece of property, basically.
Absolutely, 100%.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Agreement with that.
Commissioner Gill, do you have a question?
Yes, I've got a couple of questions. In regards to the sidewalk, is that sidewalk going to be continued to the condo entrance in front of those houses, or is it
No.
just
It's only to their property line, I believe. We'll ask the applicant.
That's correct.
Right to the, okay, right to the property line, Commissioner.
Okay, now, how would we get that sidewalk to be
Well, that something,
continued?
well, maybe in the future, with maybe possible grants with, for the busway or further development, or we have a sidewalk plan. Maybe we would consider, doing it ourselves. So
Okay,
there's some things that we could do in the future, to provide additional sidewalks.
okay. Now, are we talking about, we're talking about the site plan right now, right?
Site plan, yes.
Okay, there's a discrepancy about the fencing in the back on the west end of it on Plan C1. They have it as chain link fence and white vinyl.
Let me see if I can take a stab at this and then I'll ask the applicant. I believe the chain link fence is somebody else's fence right on the property line, and they're going to add a vinyl fence just on their property. But I'll ask the applicant if he could clarify that.
Yeah, yes, that is correct. The chain link is actually not on the applicant's property. And the new fence is being installed as a screen, since it's a solid vinyl fence.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
that's good there. All right, as far as digital signs, we planning to change that as far as our regs?
That's a great point, Commissioner. We talked about allowing the LED signage for the gas stations, but this might be in a business zone, but I believe that's coming up in the near future to change the business zones to allow that.
Commissioner, if I may.
Yep.
You're absolutely correct. We are looking at changing that. However, this parcel was rezoned to PD, so the digital pricing would be allowed.
Okay. Thank you. That answers that. Thank you very much. Commissioner
Okay.
Gill, do you have anything else?
Yes. The freestanding sign that's going to be re-signaged and put the Dunkin' Donuts sign on there. Can we get an address on that sign?
An address number? Yep. Have they, Eric, have they presented their signage yet or not?
I believe there's some signage sheets in the packet in this set of plans.
Okay.
Okay, and as far as the removal of signage and lighting, there's a couple of light poles that are on the property, and they don't seem to be notified as far as if they're going to be removed or not.
I'll ask the applicant to clarify that up.
All right, the environmental system, is that definitely going to go back into place? And is it going to be a brand new piece of equipment, or is it going to be the one that's there moved over there?
So far, we're calling for a new system, but I think it's still to be determined whether or not it will be required, in fact.
Okay. Right now, at this time, it's not being used, correct?
Is the gas station operational?
That I'm not sure of. Do you know, Ken or is Andy on the line?
It's off. I mean, it's completely shut down.
Okay.
Electrically, it's completely shut down. All right. Because that's a large service. It's a 480 volt service that goes to that, and that's going to be, it's going to be an expensive undertaking to put that on the back side of the building. Okay. Okay. Is there a new parking pattern on the south entrance between the two buildings, two pieces of property. And if there is, are they paying for that, or in the parking areas, or?
Doesn't matter who's paying for it. It's
Okay.
irrelevant. So what's your question now?
Well, is there gonna be more, is there gonna be arrows or anything put onto the other property?
So is there gonna be traffic markings? Is
Yes,
that what
yeah,
traffic? I would imagine there is. I'll ask the applicant. It's on the blueprint. It's on the blueprint that there is traffic markings. An
Okay.
arrow
Yes.
is Attorney Slater that
Yeah,
That-
Rich, do you know what sheet number that's
I
on?
believe the sheet that's up currently shows some pavement
C1.
markings down there at that corner.
C1 shows the arrows on the pavement.
Around the drive-through and out the exit.
okay, thank you. The sign, the entrance sign, I guess the drive-through entrance on the north corner on Willard Avenue, is that sign gonna be illuminated? Sign G.
Really illuminated, right?
Totally, they.
I'm concerned about, that's close to the residential, I'm just wondering if there's gonna be any, if it's gonna be a major, lighted sign, I know it's not that big, it's only about 3.5.
You're talking about the menu board?
No, it's a drive-through sign.
It's a directional sign to indicate where to go to the drive-through lane. It is intended to be internally illuminated. It's a very small sign and it's low to the ground.
Okay,
And it's an LED.
I don't know about that.
okay, yeah, that was the other thing, some of your lighting is not LED as far as on some of the plans. They have 400 watt metal highlights. I'm assuming that's just from a different pole design. On the overhang, the 66 sign, is that going to be illuminated?
On the canopy,
Yes.
yes, we have indicated that to be internally illuminated.
Okay. I've been noticing a lot of canopies. They're putting signage up there of gas prices, and they're very, very bright. I just want to make sure we talk about that before it actually happens.
Are you muted?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Gill. Commissioner Claffey? would
Can you
have-
can you go to sheet number C1, go back to the site improvement plan there? It's the best one to look at. You zoom in on the handicap parking spaces on C1. My only concern here, not that it would ever happen, but your 8-foot space isn't for a van. The 10-foot space is for a van, and handicap vans go out the passenger side with a lift. I'd be concerned it doesn't show to be a curb or anything between the drive-through lane and that handicap hash mark. Is it flip-flopped and you have the 8-foot space in the wrong location and the 10-foot space in the wrong location to give more access? Not that it's, as I said, not that it's going to happen, but a van would pull in, they only exit on the passenger side. the ramp goes down, it's gonna be right in your drive-through lane possibly. When you have
Commissioner
3 foot-
Claffey, if I may,
Yeah.
the engineer can speak to this. I believe the 8 and 8 is a van
Yes.
size space. And the 10 and 5 is for vehicles, but I'm sure the engineer can confirm that.
Yeah, I think the intention was that has the striped access to the ramp at the bottom. So that would be for a van use, and that gives plenty of room for the exit on the passenger side.
Okay. So what's the difference of the 10-foot space and the 8-foot space?
There is a requirement to have a 10-foot space and a 5-foot space as a parking space on sites in by Connecticut regulations.
Okay, so if a ramp van pulls in on the 10-foot space on the right-hand side and he throws out his ramp, it's pretty tight for someone to roll out in a wheelchair and not get clipped by a car in the drive-through lane. Just saying, add the ramp plus 3 foot for a wheelchair, there's your 8 feet. It just doesn't seem, it seems odd to me that we have a hashed off handicap space without a barrier between a drive-through lane.
So, Anthony, if I could ask you a question.
Yeah.
So basically, the hashed space on the other side of the 10-foot, instead of being 3 foot, it should be a little wider, you're saying?
Well, I find it hard in a parking lot,
Yep.
Dom, that hashed space is in a drive-through lane. There's no barrier. There's no curb, no bars, no nothing.
The hashtag on the other side is 8 feet wide.
I understand.
Why can't can it
I'm
be,
just purely for safety? It just, to me as a commissioner, seems odd that there's the handicapped space with its accessible hashed off area has no barrier between the drive-through lane. That's all I'm saying. You know how these drive-through lanes going to be. It's going to be up to there. It just seems a little flaky that it's the space, the 10-foot space isn't closer to the entry to the actual business to give someone more space with a van that only exits out the right side. That's all I'm saying. I don't, it can go like this. It just doesn't sit well with me, kind of like the tanker thing. But again, they put the truck in there now, so I get it. I'm just saying, it just looks odd to me. It probably meets fine. That's all I'm saying.
well, we'll have them, maybe they can relook at it and see if there's if that's the best way or whether or not there's a safe
That's
way.
cool.
to
I'm fine with
address
that.
it, Since we're not going to be voting on it tonight.
No worries.
Is there any other questions you have, Commissioner Clapp?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Fox, you have a question?
You're muted, Mike.
Sorry, forgot to unmute. Through the chairman, I guess to Mr. DeFusco, what is on the south side of the entrance? I'm asking because, I don't know, can the handicap spots be put on the south side of the entrance?
We would have to take a look at that, and normally we'd want the spaces the closest to the door, so that's where they're positioned.
Well,
I agree with that, but maybe you can take a look at it.
We'll take a look.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner Fox?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any questions? Eric, do you have anything else to add as staff?
No, we do not.
Okay. I think it would be in the best interest of the applicant if we just move this to old business and we get a report from the engineer next meeting and we finalize this. I don't want to delay it for you, but I think it would be best. So I'll entertain a motion from the commissioners to move this to, actually, it just be moved to old business for next meeting.
Sobieski, motion to move the whole business for next meeting.
Motion made by Commissioner Sobieski, seconded by
Fox.
Commissioner Fox. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.
Okay, we're gonna go to old business now. The documents for old business items A, B, C, and D are petitions 25-21, 26-21, 27-21, and 28-21 are all located located below. Old business item C is petition 2661. We're gonna group these together. And
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you can group them together for any presentation or questions, and then when you vote on them, they shall be voted on separately.
okay, so Commissioner Claffey, could you read the petitions A, B, C, and D? To group them together.
You just want that,
The petition 25-21.
I understand that.
Yep.
Let me ask you this, what do you, that's maybe one of the questions why I asked earlier before the meeting. You just want them read like that? It seems very,
We're reading them so we can discuss them.
okay,
And then after the discussion, if we have a vote, we'll vote on them separately.
okay. The documents for old business items A, B, C, and D, petitions 25-21, 27.21, 26-21, and 28-21. A, petition 25-21 for a subdivision at 285 Connecticut Avenue. Applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner, JCB Management LLC. Petition item B, petition 27-21 for a subdivision at 293 Connecticut Avenue. Applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner, JCB Management 2 LLC. Item C, petition 26-21, special permit section 3.9, special permit section 3.4.9, and associate site plan to allow interior lots at 285 Connecticut Avenue. Applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner, JCB Management LLC. D, petition 28-21, special permit section 3.4.9, and associated site plan to allow interior lots at 293 Connecticut Ave. Applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner, JCB Management 2 LLC.
And Commissioner Payne, if I may briefly, as you may or may not remember, the public hearings for all these applications have been closed. You guys had some questions about drainage. The applicant submitted revised drainage plans. They have been approved by the town engineer. And here we are. So I guess if you have any further questions, the applicant can answer them.
Okay, well, let's have the applicant on and he can talk about the drainage briefly that was approved by the town. And then we'll see if there's any further questions from the commissioners and then we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Alan Bongiovanni. I'm a licensed land surveyor in the state of Connecticut. My office's address is 170 Payne Road here in Newington. As you recall and was mentioned earlier, we made presentations on this project, these two projects, earlier this summer for the special permits for both lots. We talked about this being two parcels of property, each about 2.6 acres. Each one we're proposing to divide into 3 lots, to each subdivision, the south subdivision having 1 lot with full frontage, and per our regulations, 2 interior lots, and the same thing for the north parcel. The property will be serviced by MDC Sewer and Water. We're proposing 1 central driveway for the site. We worked with the planner on this layout and we think it serves the piece very well. The property rises from Connecticut Avenue towards the west at the midpoint. Eric, if we could have maybe sheet number 8 on the screen, or James.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I just gotta find it. Give me a minute. Sorry about that. Hold on.
In the meantime, I'll continue with my recap and presentation. So the property rises from the east at Connecticut Avenue, about a quarter of the way into the site, just beyond the existing house that's there, and then slopes back towards the west, where you've got a water course in the back. For the record, we were before the Inland Wetlands Commission. Thank you, Eric. We did receive approval for both of these subdivisions by the Wetlands Commission. The main outstanding issue at our last presentation was the drainage. We've met with the town engineer, talked about concepts and how to best service this piece of property. The idea was, from the town engineer's perspective, is to mitigate any increase in runoff. And in doing that, could we also create some water quality? And we've done that, and you can see at the back of to the west and to the back of lots 3N and 3S, we've created a water quality basin. We've designed swales around the north and the south property lines to direct the surface flow. At the rear of the house on lot 1S, you'll see there's a permanent stone check dam. There's one also along the north property line, just to the right of that water quality basin. What's going to happen is the water will sheet flow into that area. It'll go into the water quality basin. It will it has a pervious berm section in there. So the water will sit there for a short period of time, an hour or less in a large storm, and then will seep out through that. It'll be filtered through that pervious berm section and then run into the water course as it does now. This has been reviewed by the town engineer. We did receive a letter that he does approve of the plans as submitted. And I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I think we've touched most of the bases.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bongiovanni, for that review. I appreciate it. We'll go to the commissioners. Do any commissioners have any questions concerning the site plan? Any questions? Pretty straightforward. I appreciate you answering the engineering questions. Commissioner Sobieski, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question, Alan. Looking on lot 2N, for instance, it appears that the final grade is 72.3, yet where Whitefield's property is, it's 70. I'm looking at the next property down here, Carlisle, looks like it's 66. Are you have a way of keeping the water on this property of these 6 houses?
So, Stanley, if you look at just above lot 2N where it says 72.3, and we show arrows to the right of that and then arrows to the left with grading, those are going to be swales that are graded into the lot so that everything south of that will be directed either out towards the street or towards the water quality basin in the back. The last 20 feet, it currently flows in their direction. It will continue to flow there. We won't divert that water. But the water from our house, from our yard, around the house will not flow in that direction. We'll actually remove some of the flow that goes into that lot to the north, on all those properties to the north, as we've swaled along the north and south property lines.
And the other thing, Alan, just a quick question, so this water will flow out towards Connecticut Avenue. It will stay out of the town right away. Am I correct?
It will. What we've done is we've actually shown a catch basin. Eric, if we could slide this drawing over or zoom out. So you have some water that does flow towards Connecticut Avenue, but that water, as you see between lot 2N and 1N, it's it swales to the east towards Connecticut Avenue, and then between the houses, it comes out towards the driveway. The driveway is pitched to the south, and we have a catch basin to intercept it there. There will be a private drainage agreement with the town, if this is approved, so that we can operate that drainage, and it'll go into the town system.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Claffey, do you have a question?
Yeah, just quick, Mr. Bongiovanni, correct me if you've gone over it, but when you exit onto Connecticut Avenue, I know that site currently kind of goes up at a great steep angle, then levels off, and then tears back toward the back of the property. When that road gets cut in at, I think it's showing, I'm looking at 8 of 13 right now.
Yes.
And just, I mean, there's a lot of numbers, but am I looking at right that we're at like, when a car pulls out, they're at like 66 feet or elevation 66?
Correct.
Okay, and what's the street elevation currently?
So
I'm more of on the, because there's no sidewalks on that side.
Correct.
And it looks like just to the naked eye looking down at the paper that it's, you know, it's standard exit, but I know how high that currently is where those driveways are, or where one of the driveways is. I'm just looking for sight lines for vehicles.
So the elevation of the proposed driveway is going to be considerably less than what the existing grade is. I think the existing grade, as you leave Connecticut Avenue, go west onto the site, is probably 8 to 10%. We're at 3 or 4% with our final design. That was a comment by the town to see if we could lower the grade, which we did. But where the cars would stop, the elevation is proposed to be 66. The center line of road in that area is generally 66. It rises to the north, and then it goes down to the south. We have a very straight tangent with a level grade along the roadway. And your sight lines probably would exceed 500 feet in either direction. I think we have it on the plan somewhere.
Okay, I was looking between 7 and 8, page 8, and I know page 7 is pretty packed with numbers. So that's all. That was my question. You answered it. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Fox, do you have a question?
No, thank you. I'm sorry. I should have lowered my hand. They've been answered.
Okay, very good. Is there any other commissioners have any questions? I think you've done an excellent job on the site plan here, Mr. Bongiovanni, and everything has been approved by the engineer and staff. Correct, Eric?
That is correct, Dominic.
Okay, so if there's no objection, I think we can.
Say we make a motion to approve and move.
Yeah,
forward.
we'll see if we can have the first motion put up for petition 25-21.
Were you looking for something, Dominic? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could put the motion up for 25-21. Did you hear me, Eric?
I'm sorry, one more time. Let's just have some
Yeah.
technical. You want the motion out?
If you could put the motion up for 25-21, and then we'll move to the other ones.
One question, Dominic.
Yes, Commissioner Claffey.
Were there any conditions on this subdivision prior to tonight's meeting?
No, there was not.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Claffey, the first petition 25-21 is up. If you could read that, I'd appreciate it.
But make a motion, petition 25-21 for a subdivision at 285 Connecticut Avenue, applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner, JCB Management LLC. Make a motion, we approve the subdivision at 285 Connecticut Avenue. Reason for the approval, the proposed subdivision meets requirements of Newington zoning and subdivision regulations.
Okay, motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lars. Motion made by Commissioner Claffey and seconded by Commissioner Lenars. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next petition is petition 27-21. Commissioner Lenars, if you could.
Petition 27-21 for a subdivision at 293 Connecticut Ave, applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner JCB Management 2 LLC. Approve. I move to approve the subdivision at 285 Connecticut Avenue. Reasons for the approval. The proposed subdivision meets requirements of the Newington zoning and subdivision regulations.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Lenars and seconded by Commissioner Claffey. Any comments or questions?
Yeah,
Commissioner Fox, yes.
oh, okay. I don't know, maybe I read it wrong, but have we gotten all the, all the staff comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, Eric has,
All
Given
the
us a-
planning comments were revised and approved, and the engineering comments were all addressed and approved as well.
All right, I'm still not sure, Dominic, but
okay. Very good. Please, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to
Motion.
abstain. I'm going to abstain, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yeah, so am I also, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, boy. Okay, one's good and this one's not. Okay, Noreen, could you please do a roll call vote,
How do
please?
you abstain, but you voted for the other one?
Yeah, it's interesting, Mr. Claffey.
No,
Noreen,
I wanted to abstain, but either I got distracted or you just went too fast. I apologize.
I mean,
Noreen, if you could do a roll call on this petition 27-21, please.
Sure. Okay, Commissioner Claffey,
aye.
Commissioner Fox,
Abstain.
Commissioner Havens,
Aye.
Commissioner Linares,
Aye.
Commissioner Sobieski,
Abstain.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Commission. That's it. Oh, I'm sorry, Chairman Payne.
Yes.
Okay. You have 2 abstentions and 5 yeses.
So motion passes 5 with 2 abstentions. Very good.
Yes.
Thank you, Noreen.
No problem.
We will move to the next petition, petition 26-21.
Mr. Chairman, I can keep reading these if you'd like me to.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Lenars.
Petition 2621, special permit, section 3.4.9, an associated site plan to allow interior lots at 285 Connecticut Avenue, applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner JCB Management LLC. Approve. I move to approve the special permit 26-21 for a creation of 2 interior lots at 285 Connecticut Avenue. Reasons for the approval. The proposed petition meets the interior lot requirements as in section 3.4.9 and the general special permit criteria in section 5.2 of the Newington zoning regulations.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Lenars. Do I hear-
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Claffey. Noreen, if you could do a roll call, please.
Okey doke. Commissioner Claffey,
Yay.
Commissioner Fox,
Abstain.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Sobieski,
Abstain.
Commissioner Woods.
Yes.
It's at 5-2 again with 2 abstentions.
And
Chairman Payne, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting you.
Yeah, that's okay if you forget me. And my vote, yeah. So that passes 5-2 with 2 abstentions. And our next petition is petition 28-21.
Petition 28-21, special permit, section 3.4.9, an associated site plan to allow interior lots at 293 Connecticut Ave, applicant and contact Larry Webster, owner JCB Management 2 LLC. Approve. I move to approve the special permit 28-21 for the creation of 2 interior lots at 293 Connecticut Ave. Reasons for the approval. The proposed petition meets the interior lot requirements as in section 3.4.9 and the general special permit criteria in section 5.2 of the Newington zoning regulations.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lenars. We have a motion made by Commissioner Lenars. Do we have a
Second.
second? Seconded by Commissioner Claffey. Noreen, roll call vote, please.
Yep, Commissioner Claffey,
Yay.
Commissioner Fox,
Abstain.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Sobieski,
Abstain.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Chairman Payne.
and Chairman Payne.
Yes,
5-2 again.
5-2 with the approval of that. Thank you, Mr. Bongiovanni, and I wish you and the applicants good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to say really quick, it was a pleasure working with the town staff. Eric, Renata, and Gary all were very, very accommodating, but stood by their guns. And the applicant was able to come to a solution that satisfied the staff, and I think will be a good product for the town of Newington in the end. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alan. That's great to hear because that's something that we've been trying to improve, and I'm really proud of the staff for working with the businesses in a friendly way, but still achieving exactly what we have to achieve. So thank you very much. It's nice to hear that good news.
Thank you.
Okay, we have things on the petitions for scheduling, but we don't need to go through those. I'll ask the Assistant Town Planner, Eric, if you have anything that you'd like to discuss.
No, I think we're good. It'll be busy, probably a busier meeting the next couple coming up.
Okay, very good. Everybody received their CROGS letters under communications. I'll ask if there's any questions for the staff or under communication from the commissioners. And if there's no questions, I'll move to the public participation for items not listed on the agendas. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. If there's anybody in the forum that would like to ask a question or has a concern, now is the time. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to remarks from commissioners. If there's any commissioners that have any remarks. Okay, well, hearing none, I want to thank everybody for a very efficient meeting, and I'm glad we were able to get through it. And I want to wish everybody a good night. I want to thank NCTV. I'd like to thank James and Eric. Thank you very much for putting everything together.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn.
Move to
Make a mo-
adjourn.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Eric.
Good night.
Good night. Stay safe.